I'll just quickly get into what it's like overall hauling chemicals, some pros and cons. In the event that you find yourself curious about it, maybe it's something that you want to look into, it is a good field to get into. But the money, it depends on what company you go with. And again, just to tell you real quick, everything that I'm giving to you right now is based off of my experience. You may hear something different from somebody else, but this is my experience. And I'm going to be very transparent with you guys. The first year, well, the only year, because I was only there for that year, particularly because of the money that I'd seen that I was making. I was over the road, well, regional, if you know, you know. And when I was running the runs that I was making, it felt like I had made at least 65 grand, which is still relatively low depending on your circumstances. This is low for me, but I never really looked at the numbers. And then when I did, and I saw I'd only made $59,000, man, I said, I gotta get out of here. So needless to say, I was not there for that much longer. After I had figured that out, I got up out of there. So just depending on what company you go with, and the main thing about that was the company that I went with, they had only been doing chemicals for 2 years. And also I will say this, I was limited to the companies that I could go with because I was brand new. I was a new driver, so I had to kind of like take what I could get. I could have kept looking around, but ultimately I knew I wanted to do hazmat, so I wanted to go ahead and get started. So I did, I got started with them. I did my year there, and after that I got into hauling fuel. But the money, depending on who you get with, it just depends. Like if you go with somebody in chemicals that's like top of the food chain, for example, Ergon, E-R-G-O-N, I believe, they've got a pretty solid reputation from what I've heard as far as the clientele that they have the work for you to make good money. Where I was, they did not. They were so new that they really didn't have that much clientele, and that was an issue. Not to mention compounded with the fact that they were hiring more and more people, which I don't know why, given that time that we were already struggling with workload, but it is what it is. So my year doing chemicals, $59,000. Workload, it's not that labor intensive. Some of the racks that you go to, they're gonna load the product for you. Matter of fact, most of them. The most, from my experience, that they'll have you do at the rack, they'll have you climb up there and open the lid, then they'll start loading it for you. And once it's done loading, then you climb back on top and you close the lid and seal it. But most places you go to, you don't have to do anything. You sit in the truck and that's it. So it's not very labor intensive when it comes to loading. Unloading, still not very labor intensive. Certain places you go to, they will also unload it, just depending on where you're delivering at. But even when you do have to get out and unload, it's not that much work. It's a smooth bore trailer, which means that inside of the trailer, from front to back, it's hollow. So they're putting in one product in there, so you have one outlet to hook up to, and that's it. You hook up. I'm not going to go through the process, but you hook everything up, you start your product, it starts flowing, and you pretty much wait until it's finished. Depending on where you're at, more than likely you're going to have a pump on your truck, or you're going to use the air that's supplied by the facility that you're at to pump off the product. But it's not labor intensive. Not like what I do, not like fuel. Fuel is a lot more labor intensive. So it's not that labor intensive. And then going again back to the racks, the wait times. And I think that's the last thing that I'll touch on. Just like how I talked about in my experience, you're gonna have some wait times. You're gonna be sitting at these chemical racks. That's my experience. The average wait time, from what I remember, was 2, 3, maybe sometimes 4 hours. You're gonna be sitting there for a minute. And I didn't like that. After 30, 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, I'm okay. I can deal with that. After that though, I start to get a little antsy. I gotta move around. And the chemical plants, you can't do that. You gotta stay in one spot. Some of these plants you go to, they will have a lounge area, like a legit lounge area, where they have like a break room. You know, you got microwave, refrigerator, stuff like that. And some places their lounge area is just a couple of 2x4s and some tin, and a bench that they put underneath that with some, and you got some shade, and that's your lounge area. majority of the time, if you are sitting in your truck, you got to turn it off. So if you're in Texas like I am, and it's hot, it's 85, 90 degrees with this type of humidity, you sitting in there and you're just kind of cooking. So it's rough. You can get out and use the bathroom, stuff like that, but that's about it. You can't really just move around like that. Some of the places you go to, they will, I don't have this experience with loading, but unloading, some of the places that you go to, especially if they know it's going to be a minute, they'll let you leave. Maybe you could get an Uber or something like that. Some of them will even let you unhook from the trailer and you can just drive the truck somewhere while they unload the trailer, because the truck, especially if they're using their own air and everything, the truck doesn't have to be there. You leave the trailer, they unload it, and they'll call you, or they just tell you to be back by a certain time to pick up the trailer. And that's one of the pros of it. So just a brief summary of everything I just said. In my experience, the wait times are long, the money wasn't good, and the schedule is, I got to touch on that. It's very sporadic. Again, I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but for the most part, my schedule was very sporadic. I never knew what I was going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. I didn't know what I was going to be doing until the day before. So Wednesday, I'm getting a phone call, hey, tomorrow you're headed to Alabama. Be at this plant to get loaded for 3 a.m. It was very sporadic. So needless to say, it's very hard to plan a life around that. And then just think, if you've got a family and stuff like that. I have family, but I don't have, kids and stuff like that. So just think, if you've got that to deal with and then you don't know what you're doing until the day before, it's rough. It's hard to plan anything. So money wasn't great. The schedule was sporadic. It was not very labor intensive. That's a pro. And the wait times are very long. So all of those things combined, chemicals just wasn't for me. Would I ever go back? I'm the type of person, never say never. It's something that I can always fall back on. But if I had my choice, if there are other options, I would definitely explore other options before I went back. So I would only go back if I really had to. So with that being said, that's all I got for today. That was chemicals, what it's like to haul chemicals, from my perspective, my experience with it. And I hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope I answered some questions. With that being said, just like y'all know, this is a brand new channel, so I have a lot more content to produce to get out to you guys. And just to give you an idea of what's in my head, I'm gonna be covering things like fitness, diet, the trucking industry overall, just different fields that you can get into. Me particularly, I have experience in construction and hazmat, so I'm definitely going to bring stuff to you guys about those two particular fields. Aside from that, I plan on doing interviews where I can, maybe even go to some of these truck stops and just talk to different people. So I got some stuff in the work for y'all. So again, big shout out to my 4 subscribers that I do have. This week, I'm not really worried about numbers like that. I am, but I'm not, if you know what I mean. I would like to hit at least 10 subscribers. So if y'all are watching this, if you can promote this content, I would very much appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. And that's another thing that I want to emphasize to you guys real quick. Please, 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 when you watch this content, please let me know in the comments, what y'all want to see, so I can get, that's also going to help me with my ideas and different content that I'm going to be putting out there. So let me know in the comments how this video went. Let me know what y'all want to see, and that's definitely going to help me figure out the direction of where we're going to go next. So again, appreciate y'all tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. It's your boy Rio with Overhaul Truck Channel. Catch y'all next time.